I want to say to you, it was at this Farbrengen of Good Base Tammuz. The Rebbe was speaking with such passion. I was genuinely, I like to test what I'm saying. Yes, I was trembling. And there was, a kind of a tearful response, because this was, I've never, ever seen the Rebbe in this position. Never. And he was speaking to an audience who knew nothing, all right, that 99% of the audience knew nothing. There were, of course, a few people who knew before, but we knew nothing. And suddenly this thundering voice of the Rebbe, and it went on for a long time. And it incorporated this famous saying, giving a warning to everybody that if they are holders of any of these Sepharim, they should know that are holding bombs in their hands. And very soon after that, he said, in order that these bombs should be converted into Zisa apple, sweet apples, one should immediately get the Sepharim back. Now, I knew an antique book collector, which many of you will know, Jack Lunzer, Oliver Sholem, and he was a great collector. He had a lot of Sepharim. So my first port of call was to Jack Lunzer. And I slept with me a tape recorder. The tape recorder was about 15 inches wide, 6 inches high, and about 8 inches deep. It was one of those tape recorders which was on, I don't know what words to call them here, what they're called, I don't know what they're called. Anyway, there were these big tape recorders. And I plonked this down, this tape recorder in his room, and he sat quietly and we listened to this Good Base Tammuz Farbrengen. And he spoke Yiddish. And he understood Yiddish, and he smiled to me. He says, "Bombers, Zisa apple." Okay, I own up. The Zohar, Krakow Zohar, well, some year, about 400 years ago, 300 years ago. Right, that's number one. What else? Another sefer, I forgot what's it. 2 or 3 Sepharim. Takonas Hevra Kadisha of Amsterdam. This was written on parchment. Amsterdam, the print was there, of course, but they had written the Takonas Hevra Kadisha in Amsterdam on this format. It was a very, very interesting document. And he had that. So we arranged that I would come and pick them up, but first we had to get the money. So I would send a note of this. The holder of these Sepharim usually had an official receipt that they paid. In this case, the Zohar was $6,000. So that's a long time ago, but $6,000. So he's got a receipt for $6,000 bought from another person, okay? And this Deconis, I forgot whatever it was. And Friday afternoon, I went down to the office in Hutton Garden, and he gave me, arranged for the money to be sent to him from Rabbi Chodakov. Or Label Groner was managing it at that time. And he gave me the books. And this was a very, very a painful but highly unusual event. So he was holding these for him, and I took them back. And where did I put them? I put them in the top bedroom in a small closet at the top. And those two Sforim grew into 4, into 6, into 8, and eventually about 30 Sforim. And there was quite a bit of anxiety. You know, we're sitting on these Sforim, which all have been redeemed in one way or another. And here we were. In going through this experience, as these books were coming, it was Jack Lunzer, basically. Jack Lunzer had an acquaintance, more than acquaintance. He was called Michael, in Switzerland. And he had a collection of Haggadahs, supposed to be the most wide collection, important collection of Haggadahs in the world. And he had purchased a book, Haggadah. The Haggadah from, what's that Hungarian town called? Scholl, do you know, remember the name? Whatever, you'll come to me in a second. So there was a Haggadah printed in that Hungarian town, and it was, I think, on vellum, on parchment. Kitsia, yeah. It was a Kitsia.
The Kutsi Haggadah.
Huh?
The Kutsi Haggadah, I think it's called.
Kutsi or Kitsi?
I think it's Kutsi. Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay, that was a Haggadah printed, and this Michael had it. So I found out that through Jack, I found out that he has this Haggadah. So I phoned him up, and I didn't know him personally, but I said, I believe you have a Haggadah, and this we Rebbe would like to have back. He didn't like the way I spoke to him because I was a bit brusque. Not intentionally, I didn't know him. So he said, so he told me, yes, it's so how much is it? It's $140,000. So fine, I put the phone down, and then I phoned up Label Groner, and I told him this Kutsi Haggadah is in the hands Flersheim, Michael Flersheim, Oliver Scholl. And he had this Haggadah. And I said to him, it's 140,000. So then Rabbi Chodakov mixed in. I still remember it very vividly. I was sitting on my couch, and there's a phone call comes through, and he says, "Dort sprech hier sprecht." You know, half German. Half German. He sprecht Chodakov, and I'm sitting now with a checkbook on my table. And I have a pen in my right hand. And if you will tell me to write a check for 140,000 to this person, I will write it. I am now your shliach. So I was so overwhelmed, I said, Rabbi Chodakov, excuse me, I need to think about it. And I put the phone down. So I was free of that confrontation anyway. And 5 minutes later, or less, I phoned him up. I said, yes, you should write the check. And he wrote the check for $140,000. And that went to Flersheim. And that book, Sefer Haggadah, was picked up by Rabbi Rosenfeld in Zurich.
Mendy Rosenfeld.
Mendy Rosenfeld, yeah. Mendy Rosenfeld in Zurich, yeah. So that's the story with the check.
Didn't the Rebbe listen to the conversation?
But did you hear anything from the Rebbe about this? Did you hear anything from the Rebbe? Was there any response from the Rebbe in your involvement in this?
There was. wasn't looking for that involvement. I wasn't aware of that involvement, but there was once an involvement because when I was talking, I collected those number of books together and we're growing in number. They came to about 30, 34 until I gave them over to the Yeshiva Bocharim, who were in the I think that was the first kitta of the Yeshiva Gedola in London. I gave them over two to each one because it was, nobody should suspect, because if it's antique Sforim, it could be valuable. So we gave over to each one two Sforim, and they took it back. So at the time when I had about 10 or 12, so I said to Rabbi Groner, what should I do with them? So he said, oh, I'll find out. So he talked to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said to him at that time, as he reported to me, Zogem, we darf warten, weil kriegen noch. He can wait because he'll get more. That was one of the responses from the Rebbe on the Sforim coming back.
Right.
So
that's interesting. That's interesting because the Sforim in Eretz Yisrael, the Rebbe said to keep in Eretz Yisrael.
Correct.
Yes. There were 104 Sforim in all, I think. That list of Sforim was given to me by Lebel Groner. It was 104 Sforim, the date, the name of the Sefer, the Mechaber of the Sefer, the year or whatever it was, and how much they'd bought it for. And so I didn't, as I said before, there were 30. I said those were in Yisrael, yes, they went straight back to wherever they went. Okay. Noch Amaisa. At the very beginning of this, we were asking before about the beginnings, who gave responsibility. I said took responsibility because anybody who has some idea is automatically conscripted into service. We all understand this, and we all understand this. This is the way a chassid behaves. At the beginning, I was in conversation with Reb Heschel Gorman. Now, Reb Heschel Gorman, I presume he's not here, but he lives in London, and he has Sforim. He has a collection of Sforim himself, a very special collection. So he knew what was going on in the bookie. They used to call them the bookie world, the books. And he said to me that there's a collector of Sforim who's a Geder Chassid, and his name is, I think, Yankel Heitner, and is Malabos in Gold's Green. And I feel that he's got an interest.
His name is Yitzhak Heitner.
Yitzhak, okay, Yitzhak Heitner, thank you. And he has an interest, Anyway, so I phoned him, or he didn't want to speak to me. And I wrote him a letter or something. Anyway, the end of the story was that he did have Sforim, which came from that collection, which had been sold on the open market. And he had them. But he didn't want to communicate directly with me. But he would do it through Diane Yossel Padwa. And Diane Yossel Padwa is the son of the late Av Bezdin by Henoch Padwa. And he's a Rov. He lives in, I think, in Homley Road. And he said he will do it through him. So how do you arrange it? Because the Rebbe had said like this: anybody who wants to return the book return the books should, as we said before, give a receipt for the purchase of the book. Or if he did not have a receipt, then he should go to a Rav, and this Rav would give testimony that this individual applying to return the books, this Rav would say he's Ne'emon, he's a trusted person. So whatever money price he links to a certain sefer is acceptable. Okay. So I received from Daim Padva, I received one list, a second list, and each list had the number of Sforim and the amount of money that he had spent on this sefer. And at the end, Padva would say, Ne'emon olai, divrei Rabbi Yitzchak Heitner, is Ne'emon olai, and therefore is acceptable. So that came with a signature from, the list came with a signature from from the Daim Padva. And against that, the money was returned. It weren't large sums of money, 400 pounds, 600 pounds, whatever they were. So I added up to total money, and then I gave the money. And it happened once or twice. And then Daim Padva said to me, by the way, I need a bracha from the Rebbe. Because I offered him, I said, is there any cost? You know, after all, you're doing a service, so do I have to pay you anything? So he said, no, you don't have to pay me anything, but I need a bracha for his daughter. His daughter was not unmarried at that time, and he needs a bracha. So I wrote back to the Rebbe, and I told him, I told the Rebbe what he had said, and he's a bracha, and he gave me his name and his mother's name, got the name, his mother's name, and fine, okay, that was the bracha. 2 weeks later, Daim Padva phoned me up and said to me, the bracha is mekim geworden. The bracha was fulfilled. So everybody got what they needed, what they wanted. That was a time, by the way, I did recall, I don't know if in America they know it, because in America, the Rebbe offered tremendous brachas to all people who came to him from wherever and wherever. And in France, not England, because there was a company called Trans World Airlines at that time, TWA. Okay, so TWA. So TWA had in their offices fax machines. I'm not sure whether younger people know what a fax machine is, but there is such a thing. It used to be such a thing. In the prehistoric days, a long time ago, there was a fax machine. Sometimes a NES, a modern NES. I got one. It cost £1,000. £1,000 for a fax machine. It was a you know, we say you write something in here, it goes to America. Push it Nissim. So they had about a dozen or 2 dozen fax machines in the TWR office. So Rabbi Zimov, Sholem, he approached them and he said, can I use these fax machines? He said, sure. So he used, and there were hundreds and thousands of faxes being sent by the TWA fax machines to America for the brokers. And the Rebbe, when he went to the oil, he had not just one packet, but he had dozens and dozens of envelopes, large packed, stuffed envelopes, taking people bracha. So the brachas, the opportunity to get a bracha for everything and anything it was like an open season. A remarkable thing. So that's why I say when Dan Padva asked me for the bracha, and he said, bracha mekun geworden, it was kamat certain it was going to be, because this was the currency. This was the currency. This was the currency which the Rebbe was using. Well, he still uses that currency. The Rebbe still uses that currency. That's the currency. No dollars, no bitcoins, no sterling, no francs, not even euros, nothing. This is the currency the Rebbe uses. You write to the Rebbe, give your name, your mother's name, and that is, he will give a bracha. Not by fax anymore, but by this oil, you type it out. That is the currency. He's giving the same brachas. If you don't believe me, try it.